Alright, so 2021 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. The regular season is over. We already know who the 16 drivers are. And first of all, before we start this video, I would like to give myself a little pat in the back because outside of Michael McDowell winning the Daytona 500, the other 15 drivers that I predicted in the playoffs, I got them with accuracy. So 15 of 16 drivers. I'd say that's a pretty good ratio. If McDowell didn't win, most likely Austin Dillon would have been there, and then I would have had all perfect. But with how unpredictable and pretty much chaotic this season was, 15 out of 16, I'm gonna take it. Also, if you want to see more of these good predictions, be sure to subscribe to this channel because I give out some pretty good predictions. So, shameless plug aside, we have a job to do, and it is to try and predict these drivers with the playoffs with the same accuracy that I did the regular season. And I'm gonna say it right now, I'm not gonna be able to do that. This will be a very difficult job for me to do because the playoff grid is too tight. Pause. So many drivers were bunched up together in the playoff reseeding. The second seed in the playoffs, as a matter of fact, the second seed in the playoffs, Ryan Blaney, he only has like a 19-point cushion over the cutoff line for the round of 16. Only 19 points, even though he won 3 races and is coming with a lot of momentum. He's coming in red hot with a lot of momentum. He's not safe. Only one bad race in the round of 16 can just put him below the cut line. And that pretty much is the case for almost every driver in the grid, outside of Kyle Larson, of course. So if I say something and you disagree with me, just take it with a grain of salt. Like I said before, I'm not very confident in these predictions. Because of that, I'm gonna be doing my playoff predictions a bit differently. Whereas in the past seasons, I have made my playoff predictions based on who will win which race. I can't predict who will win which race. I can tell who will win which race. For example, I can say who will win Las Vegas or who will win at Darlington, for example. I can say that. So instead, I'm gonna be doing these predictions more through the process of elimination instead of who I think will win each race. So for example, if you have Kevin Harvick, Kevin Harvick may look like a round of 16 exit, but of course I don't. Some people may think that, some people may not think that. Spoiler alert, I don't think he will be eliminated in the round of 16, even though he is the final seed in the playoffs. But just so you know, that's who I got. That's how I will be doing this. So anyways, round of 16. Immediately, a few elephants in the room stand out, namely Michael McDowell and Eric Almirola. Those two guys, everyone and their mother knows that they have no business being in the playoffs. McDowell, for a while, he started off the season pretty good. He was having a nice little streak of consistency here and there. But as the summer stretch went on, he eventually just faded out. Right now he is, I don't know if in the regular season he managed to drop out of the top 20 in points, but I know for a fact that he dropped out of the top 16 towards the end of the regular season. So yeah, even though McDowell is having a career season, towards the end he just reverted to the mean, and I don't think he's gonna be competitive in the round 16. Almirola, same thing. Stewart-Haas Racing, outside of Harvick, Stewart-Haas Racing has been a dumpster fire. So I don't think Almirola has any business being in the playoffs. Even though I predicted him correctly, I said that Almirola will make it in on points. I had Almirola as a bubble driver in my preseason predictions, not as a driver that was gonna be like 25th in points and be in the playoffs because of that one win. No. Almirola, unlike last year, Almirola has no business being in the playoffs. So this is where he lands. I'm pretty confident that these guys are gonna be out in the playoffs. They're not gonna put much resistance. Um, but these 14 drivers, though, all of these guys have a shot to, at the very least, make it to the round of 12. And I'm gonna say this, so again, from now on, I'm gonna be making these predictions based on like um, process of elimination. And the process of elimination tells me that Christopher Bell will also be out in the round of 16, because even though when he gets hot, he gets really hot, he is also prone to get really cold. And in a playoff atmosphere where every round is just 3 races long and one race can make or break your season, especially since Christopher Bell is pretty close to the cutoff line. As a matter of fact, he is in the cutoff line. Christopher Bell is a 12th seed in the playoffs. He is tied for the 12th seed with McDowell and Eric Almirola. So yeah, he is also a driver, and given the history of the 20 car as being as the black sheep of Joe Gibbs Racing ever since 2018 pretty much, I don't see Christopher Bell advancing, I give these guys more of a chance to advance in the playoffs than I do for Christopher Bell. If he does, though, I'm not gonna be surprised. Like I said earlier, all of these guys, outside of McDowell and Almirola, every other driver has a chance to at the very least make it to round of 12. But it's called the round of 12 for a reason, and there cannot be 14 drivers in the round of 12, which is why I also have Tyler Reddick out in the round of 16. Now, I was debating this between Reddick and Harvick, eliminating one of these two guys, because for the most part, they're pretty much interchangeable. But Tyler Reddick has the same problem that Christopher Bell has, that is the consistency issues. You see, when Kevin Harvick falls off his game, he usually finishes around 15th to 20th. He does not have a DNF. When Reddick falls off his game, he usually finishes below 25th. If you remember the first 2 races of the season, Reddick was abysmal and he didn't look like playoff material at all. And then he finished second at Homestead, and that started like a hot streak in the spring that vaulted him into the playoff bubble. But from there, he just had to fight, and with his teammate Austin Dillon and other drivers like DiBenedetto, Chastain, and Stenhouse, to actually be one of the bubble drivers that advanced into the playoffs. Eventually he did, but the fact that he was the last driver to lock himself into the playoffs, and usually the drivers that lock themselves into the playoff on points, they don't usually make it that far. So Reddick definitely has a case to make it to round of 12, but he doesn't have as big of a case as these other 12 guys here. So immediately we go, even though Darlington, Richmond, and Bristol are 2 good tracks for them, for both Reddick and Bell, the inconsistency issues, I cannot ignore the inconsistency issues that these guys have. So anyways, round of 12, as I said earlier, immediately I'm eliminating Harvick. If Harvick makes it, Harvick may make it past the round of 16. He has the veteran experience, and Darlington, Richmond, and Bristol are 3 pretty good tracks for him. They're pretty favorable tracks for him. However, he's entering the playoffs as the 16th seed, as the final seed in the playoffs. The only 2 playoff points he had was from finishing 19 points. He has no wins, no stage wins, and he hasn't led as many laps as... I think this is the fewest laps led that he's had in his career, even lower than 2009. And I know he's been like a top 5 in average finish, and he doesn't get a ton of DNFs, but still, the playoffs are made for winners, and Harvick is far from the winner that he once was in last season, actually. And for a man that has been called the closer for a majority of his career, or not really the majority, ever since 2011 he's been called the closer. He has not lived up to the label. Like, Harvick is not the closer anymore. And well, I believe he can at the very least survive the round of 16. I think that the round of 12, with the lack of playoff points that he has, he's gonna have to win a race and to advance. And I don't think he has it in him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all Harvick fans out there, but I don't think he has it in him. Brad Keselowski, again, eliminating Keselowski in the round of 12, since it doesn't seem right because Talladega is in that round and Keselowski can actually win it. But Brad, he has never swept both Talladega races. No, that's number one. And number two, the same thing happened in 2019, where Keselowski was eliminated in the round of 12 despite Talladega being on the schedule. So nothing is for certain. Can Keselowski win Talladega? Yes, he's gonna be one of the favorites to win that race. But with how up and down his season has been, he's been the worst Penske car, and of course the Charlotte Roval is on the round of 12, and we saw how much Keselowski struggled at road courses, especially after NASCAR returned from their 2-week break at the Olympics. So I'm not giving Keselowski much of a chance here. Of course, Las Vegas is there and Keselowski runs good at Las Vegas, but his season has been so much up and down that I cannot even predict where he will run good and where he will falter. So this is where I have him here. Kurt Busch. Yeah, Kurt Busch is going to be out in the round of 12 as well, or at the very least I have him out there as well. Now, Kurt Busch is an interesting driver because sometimes he can have a season like 2019 where he just implodes and gets out in the round of 16, or he can have a season like 2020 where he excels and he actually makes it where he excels, wins a race, and actually makes it to round of 8. Now, again, if Kurt Busch gets eliminated in the round 16, I'm not gonna be surprised because so many people, after like the first 15 races of the season, so many people wrote him off. Then he caught fire and he won at Atlanta, and then he continued that search of momentum. So he has some pretty good momentum, and because of that, I have him at the very least making it into round of 12 pretty solidly. But like Kevin Harvick, the lack of playoff points once we reach the round of 12, it's really gonna hurt him. Like, I know the playoff field is really bunched up, so I can see him making it to round of 8, but it's gonna take a win more than likely. It's gonna take a win like what he did at Las Vegas to more than likely, but I don't see that happening because that Vegas win last year, it came on strategy and several like short run speed, late race restarts, and it took a very specific set of circumstances. I'm not gonna say that Kurt Busch got lucky because no driver, no wins are luck. Luck does not exist. What exists is the ability to put yourself in a position to capitalize, but no, that's not luck. But I do not call that lucky. But it took a very specific set of circumstances for Kurt Busch to capitalize and take advantage of, and I don't know, that's a very unlikely scenario. You cannot rely on those situations. And speaking of drivers that took advantage of situations like that, and this is actually a very bold prediction, I actually have Alex Bowman, one of the Hendrick guys, eliminated in the round of 12. Now, I know that Alex Bowman is actually has 3 wins, but he pretty much made it into the playoffs off of those 3 wins. Like, he has no stage wins, and he didn't even finish top 10 in points to get a few more playoff points in the regular season. Also, if you look at the playoff grid again, Bowman is in the 6th seed, tied with Denny Hamlin, who is in 7th. Of course, Bowman has a tiebreaker because he won 3 races. Hamlin didn't win anything. But that just goes to show you the duality of the NASCAR playoffs. Either consistency can carry you, as consistent as you are, you've got to win still. The playoffs are made for winners. With that being said, however, I think that consistency, with how Alex Bowman got his wins, I'm not gonna say that he got lucky, but it took a very specific set of circumstances, like his pit crew, a clutch pit stop, winning him the race at Dover, a late restart led him to winning at Richmond, and Kyle Larson blowing a tire led to him winning at Pocono. those wins took a very specific set of circumstances for Bowman to win, and I don't know how many of those circumstances will happen. I know some shit's about to go down in the playoffs, but I don't know if it's gonna work, if that stuff is gonna work in Bowman's favor or it's gonna work against Bowman. It's pretty hard for me to tell. So again, I have a Hendrick car making it into round of 12, but if all 4 Hendrick cars make it to the round of 8, or if William Byron, for example, is eliminated instead of Alex Bowman, again, I would not disagree with you if you say that Byron or Bowman or all 4 Hendrick cars are gonna make it into the round of 8. I'm not gonna argue with you on that front, because as I said it again, Bowman has round of 8 material. Hell, even Kurt Busch and Keselowski, just because of Talladega alone, Keselowski is round of 8 material. Or at the very least, he has a car that can make it to round of 8 simply because of Talladega. Kurt Busch as well, because I mean, he's Kurt Busch. But again, I'm just basing this off of the process of elimination, not of who I think will win which race. So we go to round of 8. Immediately, the picture becomes pretty clearer now. William Byron, as I said earlier, Byron and Bowman are pretty much interchangeable. If you think that one or the other deserves to advance over the other to round of 8, then I will not argue against that. But if they make it to round of 8, it's gonna be a tall task for them to win a race over these other 7 guys. And speaking of a guy who has also been in the same position as Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, and having Blaney making it, of course, Blaney is another guy that can help. Blaney can actually make it to the round of 16, can actually be eliminated in the round of 16, because Darlington, Richmond, and Bristol, they're not really good tracks for him. However, the momentum that Ryan Blaney has from winning the last 2 races of the regular season, I think that's going to carry him over to round of 16. I think he's going to do well enough at Talladega and the Charlotte Roval for him to make it to round of 12. And hell, Las Vegas is a pretty good track for him. So I believe all that momentum and the playoff points he had, they're going to carry him to round of 8, but I don't think he's going to make it to the championship 4. I don't think Blaney has what it takes to make it to the championship 4. I'll believe it when I see it, but until then, I just don't think he has it. And that's what makes Ryan Blaney one of the hardest like drivers to predict, because he's only 19 points, even though he's the 2nd seed. He's only 19 points above the cutoff line. One bad race at Darlington or Richmond can actually put him below the cut line, and then he's back to square one. Now, of course, once he makes it past the round of 16, which I think he will, the round of 12 has 3 tracks in Vegas, Talladega, the Charlotte Roval that are pretty favorable to him. So I think he's gonna make it to the round of 8, but I think that it will stop there. I think that the journey will stop there. I don't think that Ryan Blaney has. I don't think Ryan Blaney can make it to the championship 4 over any of these guys. I think like these 6 guys are like the true championship contenders, or at the very least the guys that can make it to the championship 4. I believe these guys are. But if I was a betting man, I would say that Logano is not gonna make it either. Now, of course, pretty much like Keselowski, Logano has had a pretty up and down season, and unlike Ryan Blaney, Logano is entering the season with pretty negative momentum. He has been involved in 3 straight crashes, or actually 4 straight incidents. Ever since NASCAR returned from the Olympics, their 2-week Olympic break, it seems like Logano has been involved in incidents, whether it's Watkins Glen or Michigan. Logano has been involved in a lot of incidents, so why am I having him in the round of 8 if he's coming with such negative momentum? Well, it's because Logano actually turns it up in the playoffs. And Logano has never been eliminated in the round of 16 or the round of 12. Every time he makes the playoffs, he's a round of 8, guaranteed. He's guaranteed to make it to round of 8. Now, of course, uh, that could change. That could change this year. If he gets eliminated in the round of 12, I would not be surprised at all. But I'm giving Logano the benefit of the doubt. Logano has proved me wrong a lot of times. When I think that this is set for Logano, he always like pulls a rabbit out of his hat, and just with amazing driving, he just manages to win. He manages to win and pull off the impossible like he did in 2018. But we have seen it before in 2019 and especially in 2020, where if he doesn't win a race, he does not make it to the championship 4. If Logano doesn't win a race, in the round of 8, I don't think he's gonna make it to the championship 4, and that has always been the case because Logano doesn't have the playoff points to where he can make it to the championship 4 based on consistency and top 5 finishes alone. No, he needs to get out there and win. Logano enters this season, these playoffs, as the 9th seed with only 13 playoff points. So even though I think that he can make it to the round of 8 again, like he has proved me wrong so many times, he's gonna have to win to make it to the championship 4, and I don't think he will. Kansas and Martinsville are 2 really good tracks for him, but there are so many drivers that I can see winning at any of these tracks. There are so many drivers on the same position as him that I can see winning over Logano, and that I'm actually taking over him, that I don't think he's gonna be able to win and lock himself into the championship 4. I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm sorry. And so the final driver that I have out in the round of 8, again based on who is the most inconsistent out of those 5, is Martin Truex Jr. And just like Keselowski in the previous round, it feels kind of wrong to just eliminate Truex when in the round of 8, when Martinsville is the cutoff race and Truex can just race out of his mind and lock himself into the championship 4 that way. He did it in 2019, and he almost did it in 2020, even though Chase Elliott was unbeatable in last year's playoff race at Martinsville. Sometimes Truex was the only guy that could get the better of Elliott. At times, Truex looked like the guy that could get the better of him, and for all we know, he could actually win. He swept the Martinsville races in 2019, and he won the Martinsville race again this season in the spring. So he can actually pull off a Martinsville sweep just like he did in 2019 and put himself into the championship 4. However, with how inconsistent he has been, like Alex Bowman and Ryan Blaney, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, the guys that have 3 wins in the season are all inconsistent in some way, shape, or form. Blaney, Truex, and Bowman, they all have a case to make it to the championship 4 simply because of how unpredictable and how many playoff points they have. But when you look even deeper, they don't have that many playoff points, and they are not as consistent as a guy like Denny Hamlin, who even though he has 0 wins, and doesn't have that many playoff points, his consistency can actually carry him all the way to the championship 4. So anyways, we have the championship 4. On the process of elimination tells me that Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Chase Elliott are going to be the championship 4. Am I confident that these 4 guys are going to make it? No, of course not. For everything we know, these 4 guys could actually be eliminated earlier in the playoffs. I can see Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch. I can see Chase Elliott being eliminated in the round of 8. I can see Kyle Busch being eliminated in the round of 12. I can see Larson being eliminated in the round of 8. Hamlin can be out in the round of 12. Who knows? However, Chase Elliott is a defending champion, and like Joey Logano, he has also proved, especially last year, that he can perform under pressure. Kyle Busch, he actually low-key surprised me in the regular season because I didn't expect much out of him with his new crew chief. but I need to see more out of Ben Beshore before I can definitely say that he deserves to be in the Championship 4. Like, I have Kyle Busch here in the Championship 4 only because of the process of elimination, because he's more likely to make it. I give him more of a chance to make it than any of these guys below him. But for all we know, Kyle Busch might be eliminated in the round of 8 or in the round of 12, simply because of bad crew chiefing decisions, or just a slow cop, or just him reverting to his 2020 self. Like, I wouldn't say that Kyle Busch is back to being the Kyle Busch of 2018 or 2019. But I'm gonna say that he's definitely better than his 2020 self. But I still do not have him 100% making it to the Championship 4. Hamlin, he's going for a lot of social media drama right now. Some drama with his girlfriend, or should I say ex-girlfriend, that I do not want to get into right now, because that's supposed to be a private matter. I do not want to get myself into that. But one thing is for certain, this could actually mess up with his mind big time. And Hamlin, even though he is the most consistent driver, even though he's been the most consistent driver, having the best average finish of all playoff drivers, and just of all full-time Cup regulars, period, I do not see Hamlin. I can actually see Hamlin implode and lose, and in the round of 12, or hell, in the round of 16, because he's entering the playoffs as the 7th seed, only 10 points above the cut line. Now, do I think he's gonna be eliminated in the round of 16? No, because Darlington and Richmond are 2 great tracks for him. Round of 12, Vegas and Talladega are great tracks for him, but again, the Charlotte Roval is unpredictable, and Hamlin has not really been like stellar there. Round of 8, same thing. Hamlin has not been stellar there. Hamlin has not been stellar there, but at the same time, Martinsville is a great track for him. So my point is that Hamlin might actually lose before the Championship 4 because of what's going on in his personal life. But that's besides the point. Another bold prediction is that I think that Hamlin will win a race in the playoffs despite all of the controversy. I think he's going to win a race in the playoffs, and he's going to make the Championship 4 off of that one win. But he will not win. So he's not going to win Phoenix. He's going to win a race in the playoffs in either one of these 3 rounds. He's going to make it to Phoenix, and then he's just going to lose, like he always does. Like, Hamlin has a history of imploding, so if he loses before the Championship 4, I will not be surprised, because regular season success does not matter. Consistency, the playoffs have proven that consistency does not matter unless you combine that consistency with wins, like what Kyle Larson is doing. And speaking of Larson, he is not safe either. I do not have him making it to the Championship 4 because of what happened with Harvick last season. Nothing is for certain. And also because of what happened the last time he was in a similar situation in 2017. 2017, everyone thought that he was a shoo-in for the Championship 4. He was the guy that would challenge Martin Truex for the championship at Homestead, back when Homestead was still the championship race. And then he lost in the round of 12 because of a blown engine. Now, of course, the main difference is that back in 2017, Larson was driving for Ganassi. Now this season, he's driving for Hendrick. So it's a completely different scenario for him. However, the fact that such a possibility can still happen with how unpredictable this season has been, and especially with how what happened with Harvick in 2020, nothing is for certain. I am not confident yet in Larson just being the champion. I'm still gonna pick him as my champion though, because he's like the driver that's the most likely to win the championship of this bunch as of right now. Also because of the process of elimination again, because am I picking any of these guys to win the championship over Larson? No. But at the same time, am I confident enough to say 100% that Larson is gonna be my champion. Of course not, because so many things can go wrong in this season. Hell, Michael McDowell won the Daytona 500. If Michael McDowell won the Daytona 500, anything's possible. So yeah, these are my playoff predictions. Again, I am not 100% confident. I know this will age very poorly. I know for a fact that somebody that I don't expect is gonna get eliminated in the round of 16, and then these predictions are gonna age very poorly. But that's what I said. This is why I said take them with a grain of salt, because it was very difficult for me to do this. I could wake up the next morning and say that, for example, somebody like Truex makes it to the championship 4, or that Hamlin loses in the round of 12, or hell, Harvick loses in the round of 16. I could wake up one day and feel, I could wake up the next day and feel something very different. And also, one race, just one race can change everything in these playoffs. With just how close the playoff grid is, especially near the cutoff line, one race can just change the entire landscape and my perspective of these playoffs. So I did my best. The rest is up to you. Goodbye.